Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 164 of Buds and Blue Jays, your place for all things related to the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm Jesse Burrell, joined as always by Riley McConnell, and today on our episode, we've got a lot going on. It is our bold prediction season for the Toronto Blue Jays this year. We are going to get bold. We are going to get crazy. We are going to say things that might sound a little borderline insane, but we might even get one right. So we'll stay tuned, stay for that, and leave a comment down below. Comment your bold prediction. We will react to it on this episode. But we also, Riley, have a special guest joining us today, and we would like to welcome back friend of the show, a guy who's been on here. If you're a longtime Buds and Blue Jays listener, you know who he is. Isaac Bass, welcome back to our show.
It is good to be back. It's been a while. It's been since the playoff episode. And I was saying, I'm going to come on all of them. And then they just broke my heart. So I needed a good little layoff. And now we're back, just like construction workers in the winter.
Took some time to recoup after that tough loss. Trust me, that loss was tough for us as well. But it's a new season. We have new hope. We're feeling very good. Riley, are you feeling bold? Are you feeling dangerous for what we're going to have on our episode here today?
Jesse, me, and I think Isaac as well can handle the heat as far as spicy foods. We always talk about comparing the spice of a take to a chicken wing or something. And I got kind of a hankering, a craving, if you will, for some Thai chili. I'll even be bold and talk about like maybe a habanero sauce. Get real crazy with it. Now, I don't know how lukewarm to scalding hot these takes are gonna be. I just go with my heart and what I think about this Jays team. And I mean, some are out there. The sky's the limit with this team in a lot of ways. I don't know if everything's gonna click, but we're at least gonna try to get one of these right. Jesse, you said before the show you had a crazy one, and it wasn't even a stats category. In our inaugural season, in our bold takes, you predicted that we would get Whit Merrifield, and we did. That's crazy to predict a player. I mean, think of how many active MLB players there are, and to throw out Whit Merrifield of all people who had incredible success with the KC Royals. And I mean, now he's in Philly, whatever, it doesn't matter, but he was pretty good for our Toronto Blue Jays. And I'm not going to guess a player. I'm a stats guy. I'm a counting stats guy. Just, if you watch the show, I don't get
You're a baseball boomer, Riley. We know.
I am. And that's the way things should be. I'm excited for this one. I love to shoot my mouth off about the guys I like and what I think they're going to do.
This is the perfect episode. We got some chicken wing talk. We got baseball talk. Ooh, we are excited over here at Buds and Blue Jays land. But without further ado, guys, let's get into it. And Isaac, the floor is yours. Welcome to the show. Give us your first bold take for the 2024 Toronto Blue Jays season.
All right. I'm going to start with my most lukewarm take, and I'm going to get spicier and spicier as we go. I think this is one that I know you guys are going to agree with. And I think Berrios gets the most Cy Young votes on the Toronto Blue Jays this year.
Okay. Yeah, we've been pretty good with our Cy Young votes. Last year we had Kevin Gausman take the step forward. The year before we had,
you have.
We as a show.
Riley.
Yeah, Riley, your Alek Manoah Cy Young finish last year did not go according to plan. But I think I'm with you. But tell us more why you think Jose Berrios is going to have the most Cy Young votes on the team.
If I'm being completely honest, it's mainly because Gausman already has a little bit of an injury thing going on. He might be limited in terms of his innings to start the season. So I'm basically going by that. If they were both completely healthy to start, I don't know if I would have this take. I think Gausman would still take it because I think overall he's the better pitcher.
I don't think Gausman's going to miss much time, if at all. But you do get worried about a spring training injury. I get that.
Yeah, it might not be that misses time. They might just limit his innings. And one of the reasons that he got Cy Young votes was because of how many innings he threw last year. But I just think Berrios, the new pitch selection, what was it, the cutter that he learned?
He's adding a cutter. I'm very excited about the cutter. Yes.
Yeah, and he was already, by the end of last year, looking like our second pitch. Well, I mean, he started the second wild card game and threw amazingly. So hopefully he can carry that over.
He's looked good this spring.
Fantastic in spring, Jesse. I mean, he's only thrown 8 1/3 in the spring so far, but it's spring training. You're not going to throw your top starting pitchers often and for a high usage. But Jose Berrios is a guy, like you said, he's developing this cutter to go with that sweeper. And I think it's about time. He has a long contract nailed to his name right now. I know that it started off real rocky his first full season. The half season when he came over from the Twins thing, we're looking real good for him. But, I mean, last year he was fantastic. And I think that is either going to be replicated or it's going to be even better. I mean, he was nearly a strikeout per inning guy last year. And this is a guy that is top 200 Ks, I believe, once or twice in his career. He had very good campaigns before the COVID shortened season. There's a lot to love about Jose Berrios personally. Isaac, I had that exact thing down on my list. The exact words almost is Jose Berrios. I didn't even have Gausman down, but Jose Berrios gets Cy Young votes. Because at this point, I don't know how much I actually have trust in Gausman. I maybe see a little bit of regression, but for Berrios, I see a lot of advance in his game. This is a guy who I think is going to throw over 195 innings. He could throw 200. Again, he could have 200 strikeouts with that. And if he limits his walk and he can gather the control, you're going to see a really good whip. You're going to see a really good FIP, and you're going to see a lot of wins in his column, man. I mean, this is a guy who's at the start of his career had Cy Young potential. He might not have that same potential now, but he's definitely going to be a vote getter.
Yeah, there is a chance. His repertoire looks very similar to what Corey Kluber's was when Corey Kluber won the Cy Young Award with Cleveland. I think adding that cutter, if it is effective, if it is good, to go along with that nasty two-seam fastball he has and that big sweeping slider is going to be good things. He's been a model of consistency. He's got to stay healthy. And if Jose Berrios does all that, I like that call as a bold take, Riley. Isaac, not bad to get us started for the first one.
Yeah, and I just want to add quickly about the Manoah for Cy Young take last year. I was actually, when I listened to that, I was more on your side, Riley. I'm not going to lie. So I can't say too much. I was big on Manoah, and I mean, he broke all our hearts last year. So.
All right, guys. First bold take underway. We have that on record. I'm going to go with one of my first bold takes, and this is kind of a two-way street. Two things have to go well for this bold take to come true, but I guess I'll combine them here in one. My bold take for the 2024 season is that Cavan Biggio spends more time in the leadoff spot this season than George Springer does. Now, in order for this to work, it means Biggio's got to be good and effective, and we are taking a step back from George Springer being that effective as a leadoff man. But I think it's possible, guys. Give me your reaction on that bold take.
I think that is a very spicy start and kind of out of the blue, because this is not a spot we've seen Cavan Biggio even really familiarize himself with. When you think traditionally about leadoff hitters, Jesse, this is a high average spot. Cavan Biggio has great on-base percentage kind of potential, but is the bat
404 in the second half last year?
I just crazy, want to throw it right? But is the bat to ball skills really valuable enough to put him there over Springer? Now, Jesse, we've talked about what we think Springer may or may not do this year, but for Cavan Biggio to replace him, and hey, there's a lot of good things. I mean, you can go down the list and break it right open and say, okay, lefty bat. First of all, I love that. He's got decent enough mobility. He's definitely not a guy that's a blazer on the base pass. I don't know what I think about this one. Isaac, you are the one who kind of ridicules these things. I'm not going to necessarily disagree with you at all, Jesse, but just for that to happen and John Schneider make that call, I mean, he seems to be a traditionalist in how he makes the batting order. George Springer shouldn't be the leadoff hitter. I've said that. I think I said it on Twitter today, even. Isaac, what do you think, man?
Well, this kind of brings up one of my other bold takes, which I actually wasn't even going to say, but now I'm going to say it anyways, which, I mean, for that to happen, Biggio, you're assuming wins the second baseman job, Jesse?
Yeah, or he'll be playing third base a lot. He'll be playing right field behind George. He's going to get in the lineup more often than he's not, and I think he's going to be in the leadoff spot more than George Springer will this year.
Because I think David Snyder is going to win the second base job and play most of the year at second base. That was my bold take, is that David Snyder hits 25 to 30 home runs this year and wins the second baseman job. So, and also with like the stuff, I mean, obviously Turner's going to play most of the time at DH, but like the only other place you can really put him in is third base. And then you got Isaiah Kiner-Falefa also at third base. It's like, I see that Biggio can play multiple positions, but I just don't think that he's going to play more than George Springer, although it is cheeky phrasing, Jesse. I noticed that you're just saying more than George Springer, not necessarily anyone else on the team. So someone else could come in and play leadoff.
Yeah, Bichette could get a lot of time in the leadoff spot here this season as well, but I'm just going between the two. My basis behind this pick, remember, the Blue Jays did move George Springer out of the leadoff position just last season. I remember he hit fifth for a good stretch towards the end of August and whatnot, and I do think the decline is coming a little bit. And I think we could use George Springer's power more lethal driving in runs, where a guy like Kevin Biggio, who's got good bat to ball skills, who can really work that on base percentage, work a count, get on base more for Vlad and for Bo and for Justin Turner and whoever hits behind them, I think could be good. And I really do think down the stretch, and this might be a bet on George Springer maybe just not staying healthy this year. Could be a little bet on that too. But yeah, I really like this one. It's bold because not many people think it's going to happen, but I really do like my chances by season end, this being this case.
Yeah, and I mean, for any watchers of the show, if you guys want to make a collaboration, like a montage of all the things people said about Kevin Biggio in this podcast last year, and now transfer them to Jesse thinking he's going to play more leadoff than anyone else, that would be really interesting to see, because there was a lot of Biggio slander last year.
There was. My roommate still cannot stand Kevin Biggio. So, Riley, let's go with your first bold take. What do you got for your first bold take of the 2024 season?
Oh, sorry. My internet speed seems to be slower than Kevin Biggio in the leadoff spot. I suppose you want me to move on to my first bold prediction, guys.
Go ahead. Yes, absolutely.
If it ain't broken, don't fix it. And I think my first one, people would think it's a bold take. Us on this show don't. And if you're a fan of baseball, if you're a fan of, just guys with hits, I'm a stats counting guy. You're talking about the leadoff spot. Well, look no further. Bo Bichette is going to, for the third time in his career, lead the American League in hits. And he's also going to do it with over 200 of them.
So only 4 Blue Jays in history have 200 or more hits in a season. And so you're saying Bo Bichette wins that list?
I don't think any of them really have the. So Olerud and Alomar would be 2 others. Who's the third? And Vernon Wells, right?
No, Shannon Stewart actually did it. I remember that from playing our Immaculate Grid for so long. Yeah.
So it would be one of the Oleruds, and because I know Vernon Wells had over 200, and Shannon Stewart then, and one of the 93 guys. But none of them have the bat-to-ball skills that Bo has. And the way that Bo takes his approaches at the plate, I don't think he's going to walk 60 times coming into 2024. And I don't think he's going to strike out 100 times either. It's going to come down to luck. Balls dropping in and whatnot. He can hit to all fields. I think it's a lock. I don't think this is a hot take, Bo Bichette getting 200 hits. I think it's a hot take to a lot of other best pure hitters in all of baseball. He needs a little luck, of course, to go with it. But if you want a guy who's gonna have a chance at 200 hits, Arias did it last year, and I think, and personally, Arias got great bat to ball skills, but I think Bo has a better chance with the ability, with the power, over a Luis Arias maybe. I got Bo down. He's a lock for me, man. Third time leading the American League in hits, could lead all of Major League Baseball, depending on what Arias and other guys do in the National League. But yeah, going to do it with over 200 hits, become the 5th Blue Jay, I guess, Jesse.
I love that. Isaac, you got a take?
I mean, he would have done it last year if he didn't get hurt.
Exactly.
He got 175. I know you guys were talking about on the podcast that he was going for 200 and then he got hurt for a few weeks. So I completely agree, especially with the way he's been hitting the ball in spring training. Jesus.
Exit velocities have been very high. I think he already had a batted ball this spring training, which would have been his 3rd hardest batted ball of all of last season, which can only be good things from Bo Bichette. I'm excited with that one there too. Yeah, I think this is look, it's hard that predicting somebody to literally lead baseball in hits doesn't really feel like a bold take because it is Bo Bichette and he's done it for so long. But all he's really got to do is stay healthy and not have a major decline in one of his skill sets, which I don't think any of us are predicting is going to happen. So yeah, I like the call. It's probably one of the safer bets, and yeah, I like it.
I think last year I should go with the safer bet because I had a couple of boneheaded takes last year. I think that I should start off with one that's hot in the sense that to predict a 200 hit guy is a difficult thing to do. I think it's safe to pick Bo Bichette.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of like saying Austin Matthews is going to lead the NHL in goals every season.
Yeah, sure.
Like you're not arguing. No one. Well, some people argue. I'm a Leafs fan, but that he's the best player in the entire league. I don't think anyone's saying about Bichette saying they shouldn't with Matthews, but it's a good bet to say that they're going to lead in hits and goals every single year.
Good comp.
Absolutely. I love that one. Isaac, go ahead. We've gone all around the horn once. Give us your second bold take for the 2024 Toronto Blue Jays.
All right, we got the middle spicy one now, and
we're moving up.
I know you guys have mentioned that it's not going to be the absolute best season for the Jays going forward. I'm not going to guess like a win total or anything like that, but what I am going to say is that the Jays make one of, if not the biggest deadline splash this year, and finally doing something that is going to make the fan base excited again. And I think it's going to be this year.
So I'm just looking through the top free agents, guys, and contracts years off the top of my head. The problem is a lot of them are in the division. Like it's Juan Soto, it's Corbin Burns. Yeah, Pete Alonso from the Mets is a free agent coming up next year. Maybe they do something that surprises us. Maybe the Padres sour on Tatis or something and we go that route. We don't know. But I like it. The Blue Jays historically have really just gone to target their bullpen and shore up their bench units at the trade deadlines in years past, after us begging them not to do so. I kind of like the call. Isaac, do you have a name? Give us a name.
I was honestly kind of thinking of a Pete Alonso, but I think that would only happen if Justin Turner doesn't turn out to be the guy that we expected. But then again, if Justin Turner doesn't turn out to be the guy we expected, are we really in a spot to make a big move anyways? But yeah, I was looking earlier at the free agent class. There's not too many names. There's the Paul Goldschmidt's out there too. That's another one that you'd have to have free up at, DH to make. And then, I mean, the infield and the outfield doesn't look too crazy, but throwing out a name,
Jack Sawinski.
Maybe like a
sure, the Pirates move on from somebody, right? Like,
I love Jack Sawinski.
Yeah, could be like a Tim Anderson, something like that, or
it's got to be more than that though to get the boys fired up, I think. But look, this team's going to look a lot different now than it does at the trade deadline this year. Maybe we have a glaring need somewhere, right? And then a name just perfectly fits. We don't know. I do like it. That gives me hope as a Blue Jays fan, because trade deadline's always an exciting time of the year, and the Blue Jays are very underwhelmed around that time of year. So it would be very nice to see them be able to do that. Riley, do you have a name or a thought of what's going on at the trade deadline, or should we move on to our next one?
Well, I'll pay a little homage. Friend of the show, and he's been on here. Jesse Tricio had Alonso for his deadline acquisition too. I want to throw out Jesse, always on our social media and engaging with us, and he thinks Alonso too. And I don't necessarily disagree with it. He's a first baseman though still, and I can't see them defensively taking Vladimir Guerrero Jr. off that spot. So Alonso comes over in DH. And hey, if you want to talk about a pure potent power hitter, I mean, the polar bear anytime he steps up to the plate over the course of a full season, like there's the potential for 50 home runs right there. It depends on how it goes, the swings and miss. Like Alonso's great. I don't know if it's necessarily the fit, but the raw power is there. And if we're lacking power, I mean, Alonso is a great way to go.
I really do like that. That is a good call. And I guess this is going to segment into my next bold prediction, kind of going on the hands and hands here. Guys, this one is not a fun one. I know it's spring training. I know it's optimism. We're feeling great about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm going to put a little bit of a damper on this. And I hate to do this because
I know it's coming.
No fun.
I know it's coming.
It's no fun. But one of my bold predictions for the 2024 season is I do not think Justin Turner makes it through the whole season as a Toronto Blue Jay. I feel like he's it's bold. I don't want this to happen. Don't get me wrong, but I think there is a higher chance he gets DFA'd by season's end. And before we react, let me get out my reasoning here. The first one is he was dreadful in the month of September last season. Now, it was a month. It was a small sample size. There was reports he was dealing through injury. All of that could be true. But he is 39 years old, and the one thing that really does seem to go with aging is your ability to catch up to the fastball, and Justin Turner has struggled last season and even so far this spring really catching up to the four-seam fastball. I feel like once teams around the league really catch on to that, it's going to be hard for Justin Turner, one, to stay on the field, and two, to remain highly productive hitting in our four spot in the lineup. Whether or not it actually gets to the point where he's cut off this team might not happen, but for the sake of boldness, I threw that out there, and I feel like Justin Turner is going to be quite a disappointment for the Toronto Blue Jays this season. Guys, go ahead, react. Tell me I'm wrong, or if you agree with me here.
Let the scrutinizer of the pod take this one. He might have something to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is the bold take in it is to say that he's DFA'd or gone off the team. I could see a similar trajectory to a Brandon Belt last year and a pretty decent comp also with Justin Turner having better bat the ball skills. Bell noticeably looked slower against the fastball, especially we were all yelling for him to be DFA'd or at the very least bats taken.
Yeah. And then he turned out the best hitter by WRC plus last year. So,
and I could see something very similar with Justin Turner. I think that you wouldn't, that the DFA, the reason I think it's such a bold take is because with a guy like that, with that veteran, leadership and everything like that, I could see him being a guy that comes alive in the playoffs if you need him, or closer down the stretch. And if you need to rest him more, but to DFA a guy like that is, I think, personally a bit of a bold take, but I like it.
It's a bit of boldness. Riley, do you have a thought?
Jesse, I've known about this. Spoiler alert. I knew about this bold take because I loved it. I don't like the negativity, but it's our job as content creators to give you the good when it's good and the bad when it's bad. If you rewatch the Justin Turner signing episode, emergency episode, if we will,
which you should do.
Which you should do. Go back. I mean, there's a few videos. Just watch them all. Just watch all the videos. But I think that Justin Turner wasn't the right guy to begin with. So that kind of sets me back. And then you see the projections for a player like Jorge Soler. I looked at his projections. I don't even want to say them. Makes me sick to my stomach for what we passed up on. Even for a guy like that. And we settled on Justin Turner, who's not going to get the time in the field defensively and has a full-time DH, 27 home runs. Yes, the bat-to-ball skills are great, but I don't think is what the team needed. And yeah, the fact that we'll just call him a 40-year-old ball player for the sake of calling him a 40-year-old ball player. If he can't catch up to the fastball and he gets exploited on that, then he's done. And then his tools as a hitter are essentially going to vanish. And his premium spot in the order, if they want to call him the cleanup hitter as of right now, which I think is almost crazy, but who else do you give it to, right?
That's the thing, right?
It goes back to a couple things in who you
Danny
sign
Jansen.
and what this. Yeah, hey, I have the floor next. Just be quiet. I think that Justin Turner, at a time in his career, look, if you look at guys that we got, Justin Turner, Eduardo Escobar, like if this was 2017, dude, we're in a great spot, but it's 2023 and we got some aged players. And I like it for leadership. I don't like it for on-field play, and I don't like it for the at-bats.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's kind of echoing the same points that we were making here, and we're on the same train of thought. Look, I would love to be proven wrong. Justin Turner goes out, turns back the clock, has a great year. Absolutely, we will be behind you supporting it, but I just don't think it's that likely going forward. But Riley, let's move on to your next bold take, and I know you got a good one cooking up here, and I think it might involve one of the players you love, but go ahead, take the floor. Tell us what you got.
Well, Isaac thinks that he can walk onto our show after half a year and just start spouting off about guys that I want to talk about.
I'm just the segue king, man. I just segue everywhere.
If we've been on the show and we discussed, okay, you can get 3 bold takes. And if I mention Bichettes first, there's a 50-50 chance that the next guy I'm going to talk about is Danny Jansen. And what's he going to do this year? Well, he's going to have the season of his career. And what does a good season for Danny Jansen look like? And I kind of thought about this. Jesse, you just be patient because I'm going to tell you, man, because he's playing essentially behind Kirk, and I want to see him get the DH spot. And look, a part of me wants Turner to fail, but not really. I want him to fail to get Danny Jansen those at-bats. I don't want him to fail because at the end of the day, I want the betterment of the team. I want to see a 90-win Blue Jays team this year. And I think a way to get to 90 wins, Jesse, and right. Isaac, you said it perfect. A Danny Jansen, a good Danny Jansen in the leadoffs or in the cleanup spot, would be amazing if he's hitting with power. We've seen him in spring, pulling balls well, hitting balls in the air. He's a guy who doesn't traditionally hit for a high average, but the power is real. How real is the power this year? I'm going to say that, again, he doesn't play full time. He's only played 100 games once. I think this year he exceeds 90 games. I think he sits somewhere between.
Go bolder, Riley. Go bolder.
I think it's between 90 and 100. Let me finish. And I think, Jesse, there are 25 home runs attached to that in that amount of time. Jays let him walk to free agency. He's going to be a big catcher somewhere else. 30 home runs in a full-time season. But for us this year, Jano's going to hit 25 bombs. He's going to maybe not necessarily improve his average. which hasn't been spectacular. He hit 228 last year. Lifetime, I don't think it's too much better. It could even be worse. But the power is so real, and we need that for this ball club. I love Danny Jansen behind the plate, DH. Get this guy his at-bats. And I say I can't do a bold take on how many games this guy's going to play. They're obviously going to use Kirk. For some reason, everyone loves Alejandro Kirk, this and that.
Kirk's good behind the plate.
He's great behind the dish. Danny Jansen, he needs to get those at-bats, though, because if I knew he was going to play every day, my bold take would be 30 home runs. I know he's not going to play every day, and I'm going to say he's going to hit 25 home runs. And I feel like, and again, when I say hot take, this is for other people. In my head, in my mind, it's a done deal. Danny Jansen is that good as a power hitter. All
right, Isaac, you got a reaction? Danny Jansen, you agree with those thoughts?
I got something that's going to make Riley McConnell hate me. And I got a question little bit here.
Right.
I am a fan of Danny Jansen, but I got to say, if Alejandro Kirk, and this is for Jesse too, if Alejandro Kirk comes out and has the season that he was having, 2021, and starts to be the guy that they expected when they traded away our boy with Gurriel. But will Danny Jansen be trade bait to go out and get a position of need at the trade deadline?
Yeah, I'll take this. That's Jack Sawinski in Pittsburgh. That's hell of a trade bait.
Pittsburgh's got a lot of catcher prospects, though, so I don't think they'd want a catcher. But besides the point,
we'll figure it out. It out. If Danny Jansen for me has great trade bait, I definitely don't hate you, Bassy. We have a surplus of 2 starting catchers. I think that's fantastic. If we decide to roll with Kirk, and I see Danny Jansen go on and catch 138 games for the Milwaukee Brewers in 2025, I'll be tickled pink because I know he's going to put up hella numbers and he's going to get a fair shot in Major League Baseball. I want justice for Jansen. At the end of the day, is what I want. If he doesn't get it with the Blue Jays, no, seriously, this guy is so underrated. 68 people on YouTube agreed with me today, or whatever the number was. The only ever time I comment is on Green Day songs or when it's backing up Danny Jansen in the comment section. I think he's the real deal. 25 home runs this year. In a short, if he exceeds 100 games, that's great. But I don't think he gets to 30 because Kirk's going to be basically taking up that time, which is fine. He's going to do fine. But Jansen's also great.
These things just seem to find a way, though. Life finds a way, to quote Jurassic Park, if you will. The Blue Jays aren't going to trade a catcher because unless we get a catcher back in return, which then why are you doing it, right? Because our catching depth behind them is Brian Serven, Peyton Henry, Phil Clark, and if you believe Zach Britton still has what it takes to go behind the plate, then maybe there's that. But I don't think it's happening.
Berrios too.
And Isaiah kind of Falefa for that matter too, right? And Santiago Espinal was an emergency catcher last year as well, so count him too, or whatever, right? But I say if we're going to go bold, because there is some numbers that do prove that in a contract year, you don't necessarily perform, but there are numbers that say you are more likely to stay healthy and on the field in a contract year, which does bode well for Danny Jansen. I say if we're going bold, let's just go really bold with Danny Jansen. Let's say he hits 35 home runs, gets him to 100 career home runs, goes out on a milestone, and then cashes in free agency if you wanted to go real bold for Danny Jansen.
That is real bold, but at the same time, we're not trying to be stupid here either.
Yes.
I love it. Hey, I Jesse, I love it. I will bold take till the cows come home. But on the real, if he could do that, that would be great. I don't think there's anything that supports that. He could do that for if he had 162 games for the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. He could definitely do that. But this is a different style, man, and the numbers just don't align for him to really get those at bats. And I don't want Kirk to get injured. If he does, then I might change my bold prediction. Then there's a chance.
Okay, well, that is good. We love Danny Jansen here on Buds and Blue Jays, rooting for you. Big season coming for Jano. Isaac, third round of bold takes. Let's hear your next one.
All right, my next one, I think you guys are going to like it. I think that we're going to be top 5 once again in league in home runs this year. And the reason I say that is because it was only 2 years ago, and granted we had guys like Teoscar who could hit the ball, but it was only 2 years ago that we led the league in home runs by what, like 20 or something like that. I think we had like 268, 270. Last year we went down to 188. We were like 17th or something. But I think
16th,
we didn't take advantage. We didn't take advantage of the changes in our field dimensions last year. And if we were the top team with only losing a couple pieces that could put the ball over the fence, I think that we can return to that. If top five, might even be top three. I think the Yankees are going to be there. Obviously, the Braves are going to be there. But I mean, look at last year. It was the Twins were in the top five. Like, sometimes
Angels
things
were top five.
Exactly. So sometimes these things just happen, and I think that we have all of the talent to be able to do it, especially if Vladdy, who I think is gonna bounce back. Sorry, he's still Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's not Vladdy to me yet, but I hope he proves that name by the end of the season. But that's my bold take. What do you guys think?
I like the take. The only way I think that happens, though, is we need an MVP caliber season from Vlad. We need Dalton Varsho to really jump up, and we need like Davis Schneider to break into that power stroke. We really need a guy almost to come out of nowhere. We need one of our prospects, like a Barger or Elvis Martinez, to come up, hit 20 home runs. Maybe we need that 25 home runs from Danny Jansen. We need a surprise power. 35. Quote Riley, I don't want to be stupid on this show, but yes, we need quite a bit of home runs. So we really need a surprise there. But look, it could be pleasant. It could happen. And there are guys on this team who really could do it. And boy, I really hope out of all the bold predictions we made that is one that comes true for us this season.
Well, let's ballpark this real quick for a second. Let's say plus or minus a couple, but Vladdy goes for 40. Let's hope that number is closer to that. Let's say that Danny Jansen touches those 25. I want to put Varsho down for 25. If he hits 30, spectacular. I think he's going to go for a higher average personally this year. So if Springer can touch 20, and then you're going to get quite a few guys with 15 home runs in there as well.
Yeah. Kirk runs into 15.
Kiermaier. And then Bo Bichette even. I
can get you 15, maybe even 20. Yep. And then if Justin Turner isn't cut, he could get a bunch too. There is real home run potential here for this team. So Riley, go on.
I just said Bo Bichette's got the 25 home run potential as well. Like, it's going to be accumulative. Guys like Vladdy cannot hit less than 30 home runs for this to happen. I think it's a great bold take. We have the potential to do that.
We need 42 more home runs than last year. And I think that's a doable, especially if Vladdy gets, 15 more.
14, 15 more from Vlad right there. Yeah. Springer gets upwards of 30, which I doubt, but is possible. There is a chance this could happen.
8 from Vogelbach. It all just keeps adding up.
Yeah, there you go. Joey Votto even hits 3, and we're laughing here. It's going to be a good time. All right. My last bold take, and I'm going to the bullpen for this one, is that I really think that Jimmy Garcia is going to be our main setup man behind Jordan Romano, maybe even finish second on this team in saves behind Romano by season's end. Now, guys, I wanted to get even bolder. I wanted to throw Nate Pearson. I wanted to throw like a Yasver Zulueta or someone really wild from Buffalo coming up and taking a spot and being a lockdown reliever for this team, but I just couldn't do it. It's pretty mild on this take. It's middle reliever stuff. I don't know how impactful that would be, but basically, this just comes down to I really like what I've seen from Jimmy Garcia this spring. He comes into camp throwing 98. That off-speed pitch is still moved very well. I think Jimmy Garcia is going to be a lockdown, lights-out reliever for the Toronto Blue Jays this season. We don't have to spend much time on this one, boys, but give me a quick reaction.
Touched as high as 99 miles an hour, the velocity. I saw it on the pitch tracker, loved it. I think I let you know right away. You were having a night shift at the casino. I was stoked. I think Garcia has been fairly steady for us. There's been the odd blow up, and it's also been very good for really good and important stretches of the season. I think that he makes this bullpen what he is. He was there before Swanson was, and it really depends on how Green, Swanson, Garcia go. I don't really like what I've seen out of Chad Green to start spring training. Take that for what you will. It is spring training.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Sure, he'll be fine. But if Garcia's really good like he's been, and Swanson's still sort of a question mark. I do hope to see him in a lot of ball games early on in the year. But you're right, Jesse. It could very well be Garcia's job. I won't contest that. But with the bullpen, you got to go with the guys that are hot. For Jimmy Garcia, it's going to take a hot start to the year and basically turn some heads. And I think that with his high velo, could be a very good 8th inning guy to set up Jordan Romano.
Yep. Isaac, any thought on that, or should we move on to our next one?
I think it's just between him and Swanson, and it's basically a coin flip on my end. So I'll go with you, Jesse. I'll go with you because I do like Yimi Garcia a little more than Swanson.
Sounds good, Riley. Go ahead and give us your next bold take for the 2024 season.
I'm gonna stay right where you are, Jesse. I'm gonna stay in this Toronto Blue Jays bullpen. I'm
listening.
Okay,
you have my attention. Reel me in.
We do have a serious problem that has developed. Jesse, you ordered MLB The Show 24. You pre-ordered that game.
I did. I can play it on Tuesday.
And Jesse, what is the first thing that we always do when we get that game? We don't play now. We're not 7-year-old girls. We don't just hit play now.
First thing I do is watch the intro video.
Sure. We go into a franchise with the Toronto Blue Jays. That is what we do. That is what we do. And what you will see when you get in there is you will see a 69 overall Tim Mesa.
Nice.
Question mark?
Justice. You guys are losing. 69 overall Tim Mesa. That is injustice. Guys like Eric Swanson are already on it on social media. Justice for Tim Mesa. I know that there's a nickname going with this. And Tim Mesa being the bat boy. There's a lot of eyes on him. This is the most popular Tim Mesa has ever been. And I want to give some love to him. I love Tim Mesa. I think he's a fantastic reliever. I think he's very underrated. I love his pitch mix. I love that he's a lefty. He's a specialist in a way without doing the one batter thing. I'm going to say this right here. I know that it's things that don't really matter, but Tim Mesa is going to be an all-star this year.
Wow. A middle reliever, an all-star. Jays haven't had one of those since Steve Delabar.
I know because he got the support. He got the votes. I think that this year, Toronto Blue Jays fans have been great voters in the past. And I want to say right now, before this season starts, that we should rally around Tim Mesa. He got he lost his football fantasy pool. He played the bat boy. That's fun. So he's a fun guy. He got absolutely finessed in the ratings. There's no way he's a 69. I believe he was a 71 last year, and he had a sub-3 ERA. Get out of here. Get out of here. And a D potential as well, so he's not going to hit the 70 overall mark. And we know how good he has been, and he is the longest tenured player on this Toronto Blue Jays roster.
Yes, he is.
There's so much to like about this guy. I'm saying this right now. I'm pretty sure we vote alongside the San Diego Padres. Any San Diego Padres fans out there, I doubt you're here, but if you are,
welcome.
We'll vote for. I don't even know who you have in your
Jackson Merrill.
Jackson, we'll vote for a middle reliever if you guys vote for a middle reliever, and I think the Blue Jays fans should get on that. I want Tim Mesa. He deserves to be an all-star once in his career, and I think this is the year it's going to happen. Oh, and as far as the stats goes, Jesse, I know you want Garcia, and I think he's a great setup guy, but I think if there's any other guy in a tricky situation, that Garcia, Jordan Romano, I think that Tim Mesa may just be our second best pitcher on this roster. I'm going to put him above
on the bullpen. In the bullpen, right?
On the bullpen. Sorry, yes, not on the roster. On our bullpen depth chart is what I meant to say.
It's a good problem to have. We have good relievers. Right?
We have great relief pitchers, and Tim Mesa could be one of the best non-closered rolled left-handed pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. Guys, am I crazy or it's a sound? I think this sounds great. Get him to the All-Star game.
Okay. Wow. I like that. Isaac, quick thought, and then move on to your next.
What, Isaac? What?
Yeah.
You look, apparently I learned today that Tim Mesa is also bald, so I got to show some love to my guy, but there's no way he's making it to the All-Star game.
Yeah, middle reliever, tough. Very tough.
How many accounts,
I love the optimism.
Is Riley McConnell going to make to vote that guy in? And I am all for it. You get him in there. He could be like, who's the guy in the NHL, Buffalo Sabres, that like 6'9" fighter guy who got into the All-Star game?
John Scott, maybe?
Yeah. It might be the John Scott treatment for Tim Mesa.
They carried him off like freaking Rudy too. That's ridiculous. No, well, what, you won't vote for a guy who?
Oh,
no, we lost him.
He's been silenced. By the MLB The Show has hacked into the podcast.
San Diego Studios is listening to us all along, and they decided to mute Riley McConnell.
He's speaking too much truth.
It's too bad.
He knows too much.
I'm just, you know what? I'm just gonna stick with 2023. I got my franchise going in there, and you know what? I can edit Mesa to be whatever I want. I'm making it. If I get a hold of that, Tim Mesa is a 79 to 78 overall type of guy. Great stuff.
Love that. All right, we got a lot more bold predictions to get to, so let's keep moving. Let's try to move through these next ones with a little bit of pace here, because I do want to get to the bold predictions our fans made here as well. So Isaac, go ahead, give us the next one.
All right. Well, I think I'm on my fourth or fifth bold prediction here, but I have a fun one, and this is for Jesse mainly. Jesse, my big bold prediction is going to be shared by the end of this riddle that you have to guess.
Riley just leaves as it's not for him here. If you're on the listening side,
hey, Jesse, I'm gonna keep saying sentences, and you have to say who the player is. Okay. Okay. I'm a baseball player who plays third base and first base. I started in Vancouver last year and played games in AAA by the end of the season.
Damino Palajami.
Okay, and my bold prediction that by the end of the year, Jesse will say Damiano Palmegliani's name right just once by the end of the year. That is my bold prediction, because every time it's different and every time it's wrong.
Yeah, and I feel terrible too. I should know him. He was in the Arizona Fall League. He was doing good. He's been playing games this spring. He's a notable prospect to know in the system, and for the life of me, I cannot get his name correct. It will happen, guaranteed. We'll celebrate when that day comes.
Okay.
D'Angelo Parmigiani.
Well on our way. Respect the kid. He's going to have a good future here at the Toronto Blue Jays. He is making some buzz. The guys in the prospect circles really seem to like this kid, so it should be going good. Guys, I don't have another main bold prediction here, but we have some players we haven't touched on, so if you guys want to just go out on a roll here, and some of the main ones, we haven't talked Dalton Varsho much. We should probably give a bold prediction on him. Same with Davis Schneider. We haven't talked about him much. Ernie Clement, who's having a really good spring. We should probably mention him. And Ricky Tiedemann. We haven't talked much about that. And then Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Those 5 players. Does anyone want to take something and run with it and give us a bold prediction on one of those players?
Yep. I'll go ahead first. I'll start with Dalton Varsho. Okay. I'll start with Dalton Varsho. I mentioned him already. I think that he's going to hit for a higher average this year. How high of an average? I think that he's going to get lucky, and he's going to be a 270 hitter.
Okay, sure.
And I'm going to put that along with 25 home runs. You don't see a world too often where Dalton Varsho is a 270 hitter. I think last year he hit 220. I think he's going to make that, 60 point jump in his batting average, because it's there. He hasn't hit a home run. I don't even know if he has an extra base hit. He might have a double. I think he has a double. But right now in spring training, he has an on-base percentage higher than his he has an on-base percentage higher than his slugging. I know that. There's a sacrifice for power. 25 home runs and a 270 average from Dalton Varsho attached to a gold glove. Looks fantastic from my point of view.
Yeah, before we go on this, actually, I had this thought, and I want to bring this up here now. Aside from the main players, Kevin Gausman, Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., is there anybody else on this roster you think could be a 5-WAR player this year? And I bring that up thinking about Dalton Varsho, because I think if things go right, he could be a 5-WAR player, especially with the defense. But aside from Gausman, Bo, and Vlad, anybody else in this roster could be a 5-WAR player.
Isaac, what do you think?
You know, I do like the Dalton Varsho as a player, and I think that as long as he lowers his strikeout rate, and they put him in a bit more of a consistent spot in the lineup, that he's going to do better. But I don't think that he can be a 5-WAR player. And if he's not, like you said, Jansen's not playing enough games, he'd be the only other guy that I could see doing it.
Berrios.
Berrios. I think Jose Berrios is the next guy that tops 5 wins above replacement. And for Varsho it's tough. Varsho's got a lot of defense that kind of weigh into that category. How much does defensive WAR really pick you up? I mean, he would have to hit awfully good for that to happen.
I think really he's the only shot here, unless like Davis Schneider has a massive power of things. Jesse Turiso in the audience here thinks Bowden Francis might have a shot. We haven't touched on him at all this episode.
Anybody.
Bowden Francis, 5-WAR player.
That's the boldest thing of anybody. Thanks, Jesse.
He's looked good this spring. That curveball is a legit pitch. It's very good for Bowden Francis. That's bold, absolutely, but there is a chance.
Ernie Clement, if you multiply his season last year, he's a 5-WAR player. I love to talk about this. Obviously,
I know 30 games.
I love
Davis
that.
Ryder would be as well. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be hard. Definitely, I don't see Springer doing it. To be quite honest with you, it comes down to playing every day as well. And IKF certainly doesn't have the bat for it. Our catchers, I think you can split that 2.5. It's a tough one.
Does anyone else just forget that Isaiah kind of Fleffer's even on our team sometimes?
Yeah, I like to think we didn't spend what was it, 9.3 million on Isaiah Kiner-Falefa instead of signing somebody else, but he's gonna play. He's gonna be there a lot. I don't know. I feel like if he gets off to a slow start in April, which is very likely for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, we are going to turn on him very quickly, especially if he starts making bad plays in the field too. It's gonna be rough.
Yeah, I'm not,
but
Matt
other
Chapman,
guys though.
Matt Chapman had more home runs last year, better defense. It's crazy.
Yeah. Does anyone have anything they want to say on like Ricky Tiedemann, on Chris Bassett? We haven't touched about him, Yusei Kikuchi, or any of the other guys in the bullpen. Do you have a bold take on any of those guys?
I got this weird feeling about Yusei Kikuchi, man. I'm sorry, Jesse. I got this weird feeling.
You don't like it, eh?
I think he's going to be closer to what he was in the first season with the Jays than what he was last season with the Jays. And it's unfortunate to say because I do like the guy. I like his attitude, but I'm not also one that's going to put a lot of stock into spring training, which he's been abysmal in this season so far. But he's one of those
46
guys.
ERA for Kikuchi this spring.
Yeah. He's one of those guys that just goes all over the place. And unfortunately, I think he's going to be he's still be our fifth starter. But I think Bowden Francis, as Jesse says, is going to take over as our number 4 starter.
Yeah,
I mean, I still believe in Kikuchi.
Not with a ton of time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, if Manoah's out, and we haven't touched on Alek Manoah either. Anyone have something they want to say? A bold take? Does he come back? Or like, well, you can even make a bold take that Alek Manoah literally doesn't pitch an inning for his team this season, right? Like, if Alek Manoah gets Cy Young votes this year, holy crap, what happened? And like, and look, we know that stuff is in there for Alek Manoah. We know if something clicks in his brain, he can find those pitches again. He can get back there. Is it going to happen? Definitely not. But there is a chance it clicks for Alek Manoah and he does get up there. It should be noted.
If you got to rank, if I know how Cy Young works and you can rank the pitchers and stuff. If Cy Young ballot people had to rank from the best to the very last, and that's what your ranking would be, Alek Manoah would probably finish Cy Young 103. That's what
we'll take that. If that's the season we get from Alek Manoah,
I don't know.
I will take that. Yeah,
103. I don't know how many pitchers are major league
that means
baseball.
He's thrown 80 innings with a 4.50 ERA. Sure, I'll take that.
And just kind of bringing it all full circle here, he could be a guy that you package in a trade for Pete Alonso at the trade deadline because the Mets pitching is, needs some revamping. So,
Manoah will be their savior.
Yeah. well,
some team could look at Alek Manoah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could look at him, see the stuff, and think they know what it takes to fix him. Like, if he goes to Tampa Bay, for example, I'm going to be scared shitless because they know how to fix their pitchers like crazy. And then all of a sudden, Alek Manoah is pitching for the Tampa Bay Rays for 2027 and is lights out against us. That would be terrible. But besides the point, we don't need to go there until that does happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll talk about it in 2027, Jesse.
Okay, guys. Yeah, sure. That's all I really got for our bold takes. We've made some good ones. I guess we haven't really made a playoff prediction. Like, do we think this team is going to get into the playoffs? Do we think this team is going to win a World Series? Do we think this team's going to win the division this year? Does anyone want to make a bold take on that? Or do you think we're going to suck? We're going to finish last in the division. We're going to be below 500. Does anyone want to stick their head out to make a prediction like that?
Do you guys want to beat me up now or after you guys talk?
Go ahead, Riley.
Last year, we finished with a plus 75 run differential and 89 wins. Good enough to get a wild card. I think that there's a really good chance we finish with a higher run differential this year. I think we could get not as high as 100, but between 75 and 100. But with the way things go, Vladdy talks about this being a movie and this and that. I think I'm going to say this right now, what I think is going to happen. I don't know who it's going to be, but I got this weird feeling, some sort of like dream I had or something. We're going to lose. We're going to lose in game 163 this year and not make the postseason.
So a flashback of 2021 where we needed the Red Sox to lose to the Nationals, and we're all the biggest Washington Nationals fans, and they don't give a shit because they're honoring Ryan Zimmerman in his last game with the Nationals as Rafael Devers hits a home run in the 8th inning. Yes, I remember that day, and it hurt, and I do not want to live through that again. Oof.
Yeah, I don't think we need to worry about the wild card series because I don't think we're going to get there. I think there's a tie. I think game 163. I think we're going to lose game 163.
You might be right.
Yeah, you might be right. I don't mind that take. Especially, I agree with the run differential for sure. I think last year was just and this is going to sound like such a biased homer take, but I feel like it was a lot of bad luck. A lot of bad luck happened, even base running stuff. There's no way we can be that bad with runners in scoring position and base running. Even if it doesn't mean that we're popping off with the same home runs that we did in 2021, I think our runs batted in, especially with guys like Justin Turner, who I think can at least have like a 280 batting average and can come out and actually get guys past. I think we are going to make the playoffs. I don't think we win the division, but as long as we finish ahead of the Yankees, that's all I care about.
For what it's worth, too, guys, if you look around the division, the Yankees just lost Garrett Cole for 2 months. The Orioles behind Corbin Burns have some question marks. Tampa Bay on paper is taking a step back, but if we're counting out Tampa Bay, we're fools. And the Red Sox have a ways to go, but they're better, I think, than we think they are. So it is a dog shoot. And I think if the Blue Jays just get out to a hot start and stay healthy, then we do have a real chance of taking home this division. I also want to say, too, vibes do not feel good around this team going into the 2024 season. They felt a lot better the last few years, and they've kind of disappointed. This could be one of those things where we're not feeling super great about the Toronto Blue Jays team now, but as we get into the season, maybe they can pleasantly surprise us and we can get up there and we can actually win this division this year. We will see. I don't know. It's the spring training optimism in me that's coming out right now, I suppose.
I mean, I'm going to tie in something that Isaac said, and I totally agree with the fact that we're going to make a splash at the deadline. And this is kind of the fear of guys like you and I, Jesse, who kind of look at things like payroll and value our prospects. Is we could buy in really big at the deadline, and I still think this could happen. And it's not like we're not going to be sellers, but I think we are buyers at the point where we're in that hunt. And you saw it last year getting swept by Texas, where we were just deflated, and we pushed again. And maybe we don't get that push this year. I think a little luck went into last year, and it was close. It was close. Too close to call, too close for comfort. I think it's going to be closer this year. And I think, like I said, guys, it's going to be claw and scratch. And I just don't know if we are a team with the same amount of fight in it compared to last year.
Isaac, quick thought on that before we get into the fans' bold predictions for the season.
I like the take because usually you're a classic optimist, Riley. I like how you're just going with your heart on this one. I am going to be the classic optimist, and I'm going to say that we're definitely going to make the playoffs. And once again, I don't think that we're going to get a bye or anything crazy like that, but I think we at least win a wild card round. We only have a couple seasons left with our guys. Our big guys. So it's now or never, or else we just go into a real rebuild. So I think the front office probably knows that. Probably last year they were thinking, we might not have the power and everything this year to go all in, but now time's running out and they know that their jobs are on the line too. Like they're getting fired this year.
And we don't. Ross Atkins is only under contract, I think, through the 2027 season. So yeah, his job is on the line if they have to go through another rebuild. He's not going to be the GM who does it through another rebuild. So good point. I do want to just turn things over to the fans. We got 5 minutes left in the episode. I'm just going to read off some of the things that our fans thought for bold predictions. A lot of these are things we've echoed already. A lot of people are thinking similarly to what we are, but I want to go through them here. Friend of the show, Jesse Teresa, who's been on our show before, who will likely be on our show again. We already talked about how the Jays trading for Pete Alonso at the deadline. He agreed with this. I'm just going to read them all off and then give me a quick minute, I guess, on a take of something he said here. His first one, Bowden Francis finished top 10 in Cy Young voting this year. Dalton Varsho wins a Platinum Glove Award and is a 7-WAR player. He also predicts Addison Barger for AL Rookie of the Year. Jays win the AL East by more than 5 games and go play the Phillies in the World Series. Ernie Clement makes the All-Star team, and the Jays repeat as a Team Gold Glove winner. Any of those, ring to you.
Do any of those stick out like a sore thumb?
Yeah, well, they do, but like, which one do you like? Which one do you think is insane?
First of all, Teresa, I mean, you have more balls than the rest of us for those bold takes.
Combined.
I will
You got
say
6
that.
balls on you.
if Bowden Francis, okay, can we snip this, Jesse? You and your technological skills.
Sure, yeah.
I will say this. I will get a Bowden Francis tattoo on my shoulder if he finishes top 10 in Cy Young voting.
Okay.
I don't have a stretch of ink on me. Never planned for it. That's how confident I am that that's not going to happen. If it is,
his
that's
face,
amazing.
body, or name?
I'm thinking he's 40 something, right? I'm thinking
in jersey number.
Yeah, 40 something maybe. I don't know, but it's number and then an autograph style through the number.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm rooting for literally nothing more this season than Bowden Francis Cy Young season.
It would actually look sick though. Way better than the garbage on.
He's talking himself into it.
You want to tick a guy off? Yeah, a guy who could literally beat me up with 2 of his fingers, Isaac Bass, and I'm chirping the ink on his skin. Oh man, yeah. No, those are the Teresa's fantastic. I love those bold takes.
The Ernie Clement one is crazy.
That is crazy. That's locked in, but that's 5 WAR right there, baby. That's 5
1 WAR player in 30 games last year. You stretch that out, he's a 5 WAR player. Put him in. If we're putting Tim Mesa in the All-Star game, who says we can't put Ernie Clement in there?
My bold prediction is that Ernie Clement gets 20 games as a Blue Jay.
Oh, he's getting more than 20, but
yeah, 35.
All right, guys, we got some more. These two are kind of division. Our friend Josh Arnold thinks the Blue Jays are going to finish dead last in the American East, and then our friend Dave says the Jays are going to win the division. I think we've kind of touched on both, how those things can kind of go from one side to each other. But do you have a quick thought on that, or can we move on to some other ones?
I mean, Josh Arnie's always played the pessimist. I think it's because he hasn't received a hug in about 25 years. I mean, I get it. He's always
on Buds and Blue Jays. Wow.
I mean, he's a Pinecrest alum. We can knock a fellow Pinecrestian. I mean, he's not totally out on the limb saying that, but he is in a way. I mean, I don't think we're finishing dead last. I think that's a far-fetched thing as well.
Okay, and then I got some other ones here. This one comes from Chris, our friend over at the Coach's Sons podcast, which you should listen to. They're going through their season previews right now. Very good listen. Those guys do know their baseball over there. They're going to get you very prepared for the season, so shout out to the Coach's Sons podcast. But this is from Chris. This is his bold take. And guys, I don't think we're going to be a fan of this one based on some of the conversations we've had earlier this offseason. But he says, Dalton Varsho gets traded at the trade deadline because of his lack of offensive production.
Who do we get in return? That's all I got to say.
That's I gotta say. We've been talking up Dalton Varsho. There is a scenario where it does go south for Varsho, where he just gets worse and craters, but I don't think any of us are thinking that happens, right?
Yeah, it's hard to say that we trade Dalton Varsho, and if he is that's a sour deal. We don't have a replacement for Dalton Varsho really, so it's hard to say that. Not that I'm not a fan of it, just kind of more or less like well, who the heck we've got to bring in another outfielder. I would expect we get another outfield piece coming in.
Yeah, it would be like a challenge trade, right?
Yeah, I mean, what value are you going to get if you trade him at his lowest? If his offensive production is so bad that you're trading him at the deadline, then the piece you're getting back is not going to be worth it. Especially with Kevin Kiermaier probably not going to be with the team next year. Varsho can slip in and be a Kevin Kiermaier replacement where he doesn't bat well and has great defense with some team control.
No, I could see it though. I figured it out, guys.
Okay, tell me.
I think if Varsho does struggle, then we'll package him. And I think Addison Barger would be a good piece. And I think we go over to Pittsburgh and we trade for Jack Sawinski.
This guy wants Jack Sawinski
so bad.
I love the power speed combo, man. He's fun. I went to Pittsburgh last year, saw him play.
He is.
Good player.
If I was an American born person and just could cheer for any baseball team, like I feel like that's on the table. I feel like I would be a big time Pirates guy, big time Jack Sawinski guy.
They're going to be good this year. I'm betting they're over, but we'll save that for another time. And the last ones, these bold predictions come from TikTok. Mix Falcon 64 just says the Jays suck. Cool. Thank you. Don't even know why I included that in here. The next one's Eduardo Escobar is an all-star this year. And That's a take because I don't think any of us think he's making the team this year, but there's something. And then this is from Kevin on TikTok, who says Isaiah Kiner-Falefa actually becomes a fan favorite for the Toronto Blue Jays this year, and Dalton Varsho outwars Gabriel Moreno by more than 5 WAR this season. Quick thought on
Yeah,
that.
I thought it was just going to be outwars them, and I was going to be like, okay, cool. Yeah, I agree with that. We were even questioning if he's going to get 5 by
and this is from TikTok, right? Isaac,
this is from Kevin on TikTok. Yep.
Yeah, TikTok. Isaac, you and I probably love TikTok, dancing in the kitchen and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
No comment. I don't even. Yeah. Anyways, we love everyone from all of our platforms, positive or negative. Those of you listening, you guys are great because I don't get to read all your negative stuff. You just complain when you pause us. And those on YouTube, I know we get ripped for a couple things, but we have a positive community here, and I love it.
Yeah,
Jesse, what was the Jay Suck comment? Like in quotations, just Jay Suck?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I deleted it. I think it's gone. So,
well, that would be a bold prediction that the Jays are going to suck. So, joke's on him. He's actually saying that it's bold to say that the Jays suck. So, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, take that, Mixed Falcon 64. We got you there. Touching strays. A lot of strays being caught on the Buds and Blue Jays episode here today. It's very good. Guys, that is going to do it for our episode here today. We went over a lot of bold predictions. Some of them are going to look absolutely ridiculous by the time the season does come to an end, but that is half the fun, going through and rooting for these as the season goes on. If history shows, one of these bold predictions we said is going to come true on the season. So if you are watching, leave a comment down below. Go follow our YouTube videos. Comment down there on what bold prediction you think is going to come true. Or if you have a bold prediction of your own, please like, comment, share, interact with us all week. Guys, next week on our episode will be our official Toronto Blue Jays season preview, where we go deep into the roster. We talk about any spring storylines, anything that might affect the team, whether or not we think we're going to done. And that's when we give our official team predictions on how we think we're going to do. Remember, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel. You can find our show anywhere. You can find podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all that good stuff. Anything else you want to add, guys, before we get out of here today?
Isaac, floor is yours.
For Josh Arnold saying that the Jays are going to come last in the division, let's have him on the show and let's do a little debate with the boys here. He's always been a good talker, if I remember well. Come on the show, Josh. Let's have a friendly debate on that. And maybe we can have since Riley's a little more pessimistic, you and Riley versus me and Jesse on a little debate style for a few minutes.
It can be done. And we're going to have some big things coming up here. For Riley, for Isaac, I'm Jesse Burrell. Thank you all for listening. We will see you guys next week and on the social media sphere. Once again, let's go Blue Jays.
Thanks, guys.
See you, boys.